Hello and welcome to the 11th Legion podcast, a Warhammer podcast brought to you by my co-host Dan.
What's up, guys?
Brothers.
Yo.
And me, Johnny. So, this week, it's been the Nova Open.
Yeah, big reveals.
Big reveals.
And we were pretty on point with predictions.
We were.
There was Sweeter Faith Middle-earth. Unfortunately for Lord of the Rings players, there was no Battlefleet Gothic, Inquisitor, or Warhammer Fantasy.
Nope.
But the things that were released were more or less what we predicted, which we don't know anything or know anybody. We're pretty unlikable people, so there's no one official that's telling us anything. We're just good at guessing, or maybe we're getting used to the GW role as it was.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go through first. I say the big one, I guess, was Leagues of Votann. Big, not in that no one was expecting it, but just in the volume of stuff that was released. They've gone a bit balls deep on Leagues of Votann.
Yeah, so they've put up the full army range now, haven't they?
Jesus, and it's a range, isn't it?
Yeah, quite. Decent amount of stuff there.
I mean, they've been previewing this for a while now.
Yeah.
Feels like forever.
It does. But with this, there seems to be a few extra models that haven't been seen before.
Yeah, quite a few.
Quite a lot. And yeah.
I mean, it looks like they can do everything.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah,
it does.
Everything.
Yes.
I'm wondering where the weakness is. Unless everything costs a buttload of points.
It does seem like they're going to be an insane army
because they've got that tank which is festooned with
guns. It's got more guns.
You first look at it and you don't realise how many guns there are on it, and then you're like, that's a gun. It can carry 12 people, and it says in the description it can go toe-to-toe against some of the gnarliest tanks in 40k, which I guess means it can go toe-to-toe with the Land Raider.
Yeah.
And it mentions, is it void armour or some kind of armour? They've mentioned that type of armour before.
They have, yes.
Which means it's probably going to have similar toughness. Well, maybe. No, and similar toughness probably to the Land Raider.
Yeah, I think they said on the stream it's going to be quite comparable to a Land Raider. And they also said that one of the main guns that they have on top is essentially like a railgun.
Yeah, because it's called something like a Magna Rail cannon or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And if I remember rightly, in the Tau, I don't know if it's in the new codex, but in the old one, you could have a Magna Rail rifle on your broadsides as an artifact.
Really?
Yeah, heavy Magna Rail cannon to the SP heavy conversion beamer. And then it has what looks like missiles on it. It can carry 12 people, which is a sick amount. And how on previous episodes I've said how much of a waste of time transports are. This may be the exception to the rule, because if it's got all that firepower and armour, then once it's delivered its payload of people, it's still a useful piece on the board, isn't it?
It's like a Land Raider on roids, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems that way, and I think you might be right. This void armour, because I'm sure they've mentioned that on models before.
Yeah.
I think there'll be some kind of save, perhaps Sinvun, or perhaps some kind of Dirty Demon, feel no pain style bullshittery.
I mean, it looks cool. It reminds me of the World War II bombers with all the turrets on them.
Yeah.
Like the B-17 Flying Fortress. It looks like one of them.
Question is, with some of these names like Uthar, Einhir, Brokir, are they more Space Wolf than Space Wolf now?
It does sound like it,
doesn't it? These guys are more Vikings than Space Wolves.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
100%.
The names are more Viking-y, the looks, the beards.
Yeah.
That Einhir champion, it looks like he has two big power fists.
You know, the things that are on the back, like the crests and stuff, have got all like runic
on
them, and like adorned with like wolf heads, bear. Have I seen bear heads? I'm sure I've seen a bear head on one of them.
Yeah, you have the
Einhir champion functions as a living battering ram, pulverising anything that gets in their way, like stupid Chaos Knights or stupid Custodies or really anything. I mean, just the look of the fists on him and the look of that armour. It looks like it's just going to be point him in a direction and swing that wrecking ball, right?
Pretty much.
It's got bolters built into the arm, hasn't it? So it has got a ranged option as well.
Yeah, of course he has.
I mean, the Thunder Hammer is the big hammer that they've got. It sounded like it's essentially going to be a better Thunder Hammer. And that axe that you can see is like, I think it says called like an antimatter axe. So it's essentially going to be able to cut through anything.
Is that like Necron
probably is going to mean cut through Invans.
Of course it is.
These
Demons will be all right though, so that's good. That's good.
I mean, would kind of love if Demon's got these new special saves, and then his axe said no saves can be taken whatsoever.
I'd run an army of them. That Brookier Ironmaster with like the drones that they come with, those drones look pretty cool.
Yeah, they like them. They look like them Castellan robots again, don't they?
Oh, have they got one leg, or
No,
is
it's just the way they're modelled, so they're hovering, aren't they?
Yeah,
Because they all look like they've got one left leg, don't they? I was like, that's weird.
That was my initial thought when I saw them. I was like, what are
Dr.
these?
Robotnik with his apron full of tools.
Then he's got like, is that another drone that's on foot as well?
yeah. It's just it's like lore-wise, they've got the little drone guy on foot. Is an Ironkin, who are essentially still like got the same sort of status.
Yeah, the
as
class is the
SWATs
same
themselves,
civilians, aren't they? Yeah.
But like the floating drones, they call them cogs, and they're essentially like servitors.
Okay.
And he, in essence, acts like a tech marine. So when your super Land Raider-esque style tank gets damaged, this Ironmaster and the lads can go and repair it.
Yeah.
Of course they can. Because it seems at the minute they can do everything. They've even got Psychers, right? The Grimnir.
Yes, Grimnir,
That
who
is a cool looking
like,
model.
totally not Odin.
Yeah, honest governor.
I mean, if that wasn't a staff and if that was a spear,
There's so much detail on the face, which is all but hidden by the hood. It's like sculptors are just in it for the love of the game.
yeah. And of course, he's on the rocks again.
Of course, they look like they've just been nicked from the Lumineth.
They do, don't they? But it looks like, I mean, there's no way it looks like he's floating on them, doesn't it? Like he's
he's
summing them up to get height, and then he's got his little gun drones as well. So
and the picture on the community site doesn't show this, but on the preview site, there's an alternate head for a female one.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So if that floats your boat, you can have a female psyker.
Yeah, why not? Won't it just be a sausage fest?
Yeah, I mean them.
Then more Chthonians.
Yeah, the Chthonian Berserk mole grenade launcher.
Is it pronounced mole or like mole? I originally thought it was some like firing moles.
I'm
a
sure.
Blood
style
bullshittery.
I'm sure they said mole, and there's no accent over the E, so it must be
that's
right.
what I figure. I just don't want people thinking I'm a dickhead.
Going to be like a piercing sort of grenade or something.
Far too late for that.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying, is that some sort of piercing grenade then or something? It sounds
Pierces you.
Yeah, so
if I'm up against an army of them, I would be worried.
So it's something they use for the mining equipment that essentially it burrows
subterranean
the
explosive
underground,
and then blows up. So against vehicles,
and it says even if they're cowering out of sight.
So that's going to be their indirect fire.
Much like that Tyranid indirect fire thing, so they'll just burrow under and kill them. And you've got to think the Chthonians themselves look like pretty tough lads. They ain't going to be easy to shift.
I wonder if their indirect fire will ignore the current indirect penalties on it.
Probably.
Maybe.
Got to have that power creep.
I like how he's got his that guy with him just carrying all his gear as well. I think
they're going to want to balanced on the end of his axe haft as well, hasn't he? Oh, little Doc Robotnik.
That's quality, that is.
Yeah,
and then they've released an army set as well.
Yes, it has 20 Halfkin warriors. The king of fisting himself.
The Fist King.
Yeah, the Iron
The Warlord and those really cool Mad Maxi bikes.
So that looks like, what's that? Two troop choices, what I'm assuming is a HQ and then a fast attack. So it's enough to...
And the champion.
Probably two HQs.
Two HQs,
yeah. Unless it's an elite choice. But yeah, quite a decent
could be an elite
selection of stuff there, to be honest.
And then the artwork for the cover seems almost identical. The Codex seems very much like the Dark Eldar one, where they were stood in that position and in the background there was like Venom jet bikes going behind.
Yeah.
It's almost identical to the Drukhari one.
Yeah.
Just put this Votan youth on the front.
I was just going to say, the artwork on that army box as well looks like it might... Do you think they're going in a new direction with the army sets as well?
Do you mean? Oh yeah, changing the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like to keep freshening it up. I mean, the box looks good. The cover art for the Codex isn't the best in the world, I don't think.
No.
Compared to some of the ones that are out there, but yes, just a little niggle, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this army box looks like quite a good one for 40k. I think they've had some of the army boxes have just been a bit naff because they've only kind of put in like the new units, which aren't necessarily great. But because this is a whole new army, this is like the core of what you need with your troops choices and your main characters and the bites and stuff like that's
a little bit of bullshittery is, which I get why GW's doing it, and they've done it a few times now. The box is coming out, and then you've got to wait if you just want to buy the army book and the rest of the models. So if you like the models, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're into gaming like I am, then it's like trying to lure you into getting the box when actually when you make an army list and put it together, you might not want everything that's in the box.
No, that is usually the problem with the army boxes. I think it might not be so much of a problem with this because you're going to want troop choices.
Yeah,
you've got
that's
like
a fair point.
the one hero guy. You're going to want the smash guy.
You're going to want Captain Fist.
Maybe the bites you can take or leave, but when you've got the rest of it in the codex chucked in there, it probably works out about right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's fair.
So it says that everything in the set will be available separately later. I'm curious how long that might be. Has there been a
usually like
trend
the following month or so?
Right.
The like armies come out.
So it's not
properly.
Not ages.
Not usually ages, but and then because I suppose what you're doing, because if you're kind of going to events and stuff, they kind of tend to say, from what I've heard, that you can't use them until it's been released properly.
Right. Okay.
So like when Orcs got their new army box, there was a delay with their codex coming out for about 3 months or so, and like no one was allowed to run the new book at events and stuff. So if you're planning on like buying them and ramping them up for a tournament,
poor Orcs, they got done a bit dirty, didn't they?
They did.
Of all the armies that have got upgraded and had new books, they've probably suffered the most. That springs to my mind because they're just shit. The attitude is great and all the players are a lot of fun, but the book is just not competitive compared to the books that have come before it and after it.
No.
I mean, you have an Orc army and it
didn't
toss, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It didn't smash like you wanted it to.
No, I know, like, competitively, people have had success with Orcs and running, like, buggy armies. That, like, come on, you don't buy Orcs for buggies, do you?
You want the boys.
You want it's about mobs, isn't it? You want loads of guys just running in and mashing things up.
I don't know. I mean, have buggy armies been doing top of tournaments?
They were doing well, and then GW limited the amount of buggers that you could take.
I knew there was a little nerf that came along and it just
tanked.
drops off the end of the cliff, didn't it? Have they said how much the box is going to be?
They have not.
Should we guess?
Yeah.
I mean, another question: is this box? It'll be a limited edition thing, won't it? It's not something they'll just carry on.
I would have thought so. I wouldn't have. I can't see them leaving a box with the codex in.
Yeah. No, it's the same as like when they've done the Black Templar box, the Orc box, and the Chaos Knight box. They were limited edition prints.
Right. So then down the line, they'll probably do a start collecting Votan box.
How much was the last box like that?
I want to say 125.
Shit!
Right.
I thought I was highballing at 110.
I think.
Do you remember the old box used to be £60? Back in my day.
I think, because it's got the data cards, the codex, I think we're going to be looking at 100 and...
I think we're going to be getting closer to 150. Yeah, I'd say around the 150 mark.
I think I'm still going to stick around with what the old ones were going. The old ones, the like recent ones, going at like the 125 mark, because they still make them with some value in it.
Yeah.
So I think
they just up the price of the individual boxes when they come out, so it'll still look like, in air quotes, value. The sneaky hobbitses.
Yeah.
Is that everything you want to say on Leagues of Votan?
For the reveal, but interestingly, anyone who's got a Warhammer Plus subscription might have known that
there's a battle report.
Report with I've not got Leagues of Votan in.
Not got around to watching it.
It's out now.
Yes.
Yeah, came out yesterday.
Okay.
I've not watched it, but I kind of read the community page about it. It looks like they've got some interesting rules.
Okay.
It's like essentially when a number of factors come into play, you can assign enemy units grudge tokens.
Okay.
Which give a benefit depending on the level of token.
All right.
It seems like it's very easy to put these tokens out, and if you put 3 tokens on the unit, your army automatically wounds on the 4-up.
Oh,
fuck.
Which upsets me.
Yeah,
Being
I
a
bet
night
it does as
player.
a night player. Jesus, George.
So, I mean, we'll see when the codex comes out how that works properly, but it's looking... Oh,
Yeah, there's someone in our campaign groups thinking of getting them.
yeah,
Is that you?
I'm not surprised.
No! Well, no projects on the horizon. I think the next 40k move I might make will be revitalising my Eldari.
Yeah.
I kind of held off because you were doing them and I didn't want to cramp your style, but now you've cooled off on them pretty rapidly. I might. Well, we've got this campaign for God knows how long left to go yet. Another. It's 7 and 2, 9, 18 weeks.
Yeah.
I might just play some. Then I might go Eldari because in between that I want to play OS for fun.
Yeah.
But I will be getting the book when the book comes out because I'm very interested in learning the lore of what's been going on with the Leagues of Photon, how they've been running concurrent to the Imperium, what are their allies and enemies, what's their feel, anyone who wants to game competitively and has the money, I recommend getting the books of armies that come out even if you're not playing them, so you know what you're likely to come up against and can scheme against it, point 1. And point 2, so you know your opponent's rules, because when you game against someone competitively, sometimes they, with the best one in the world, don't understand their rules, and sometimes they purposefully misunderstand their rules.
Yeah.
And you don't know unless you've read it.
No.
It depends how far you want to go. I'm also a lore whore, so I just like to get it to read all the lore up about it. There's just that much lore coming out at the minute across the games. I can't keep up with all of it. I need to quit work, and someone needs to pay me to be a lore whore full time. I'm just turning tricks out down by Wilco's. We'll go straight on to the other 40k bit then, which is Khorne Berserkers for the World Eaters.
Yeah. So they did kind of preview these the other week, didn't they? But they've done it a bit more fully now with kind of pictures of all the models. Yeah, thoughts?
They look fun. Can be said.
Just like
I mean,
fun
it's
dudes.
just fun dudes with big chainswords and.
What's that youth got on the end of his gun? It looks like he's doing Red Nose Day.
And then I think it's on his end of his backpack.
Yeah, I think the angle's just.
Oh right, it looks like it's got like a shoulder gun with a red nose on the end of it.
Interesting paint choice, but
yeah, Red Nose Day Red. Didn't know they sold that one.
yeah. So you're a fan, are you, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see myself doing a Chaos Army.
Yeah.
Any point. It's I probably would enjoy how they play and stuff, but if I were to, I would go down the lines of Khorne because it's completely the polar opposite to what I do at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just look like brutes, and you know what I'm like for brutes.
Yeah, and they're about to do a new kit because their current kit's 23 years old.
Blimey.
One of the oldest remaining kits in GW.
Wow.
So these guys, are they the basic warriors for like for a World Eaters
For
army?
the World Eaters army,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, your basic legionaries who have just lost the plot a bit.
I mean, it's looking like World Eaters themselves are getting some fun new toys, especially with the Angron model as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a good update for the models. But bar one or two of the models that they've put up front, a little disappointed.
They don't look that much different, do they?
They don't look that much different from the normal Chaos Space Marines.
Oh, right.
Slightly different decals on some of them, but ultimately and some of the models actually look almost identical. in like terms of poses and what's
Yeah,
on the
I
armor
agree.
and stuff. Which is a bit of a shame because with like rubrics and plague marines being so distinct, would have been a real opportunity for kind of berserkers to get the same.
You know, I would have liked to
sort
have
of
seen them
treatment.
with stuff on their base, literally walking on carpets of skulls.
Yeah.
That would have been a very simple thing for them to add, but would have just added something to it.
So, yeah, so they are nice models. I just think maybe an opportunity was missed.
They found it in.
But yeah, obviously linked to World Eaters. They've done the roadmap for the rest of the year, haven't they? And
Yes, and finally, I call them still Imperial Guard,
Yeah.
but for you noobs, the Astra Militarum are finally
They've
getting a
been
new
waiting for-
book, unless this is the greatest troll ever.
Yeah.
This Astra Militarum have been waiting for so long, I
So long.
scarce believe that they're actually getting a book.
I know, I didn't think it, but it looks like GW broke before the Guard did.
So we've got Demons coming summer, Leagues of Votan Phase 1 in autumn,
Yep.
and then Leagues of Votan Phase 2 will be a few weeks later.
Yeah.
And then winter we've got, which does go into 2023, so this might be Jan-Feb time
Yeah.
still. Astra Militarum and World Eaters.
Didn't we originally think that the Astra Militarum Codex was going to be coming out early this year? I think a while ago, weird.
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
There's been that many.
Lies.
Oh yeah, because they did the kill team with the Death Corps.
That was
Krieg,
it.
and everyone thought, right,
Yeah.
Guard are getting an update, and then no.
Do you
Everyone
think,
else is.
do you think in the new book they're going to get Armour of Contempt taken away from them?
Probably not.
I think it'll be taken out of the book, but I wonder if the balance date sleep will keep it or not. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Like I don't think Armour of Contempt will be built into the Codex, but I wonder if they'll then like do another balance date slate that says
Keep
they're
it.
keeping it. Don't know. Depends what rules they've put in and how they perform, I guess.
Also, depends on what the lead time is of the books.
Yeah.
Like how long ago did they actually have to get it written
Hmm.
before it gets approved and printed and shipped over from wherever?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to incorporate all the like Imperial Guard, like the DKK and stuff into that book?
I'd be surprised if they didn't at least have them as
Like, it would be like faction rules, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
sort-
Krieg have
yeah.
traditionally been a Forge
their
World
own,
army,
yeah.
haven't they?
Yeah, I bet they'll roll them in for a faction bonus. Whether they include, I'm not sure if Krieg have any specific models. They might have some cavalry models. That sounds familiar. Whether they include those or not, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't.
Be a big old book then with all the different flavours of Guard there are.
Unless they do like, I don't know, maybe just the biggest ones, so like Catachan's, Krieg, Cadia, and maybe Talon.
Yeah, well then you've got Tanith
Yeah.
with the popular Gaunt's Ghosts and the Elysians, the drop troops,
Yeah,
which is a good army build at the minute.
yeah. I wonder if they might do it a bit more like the Space Marines books, so rather than having every sub-faction have its own like warlord traits and stratagems and stuff. The Space Marine book's just got 2 pages where there's like 20 odd
And you pick which ones you
chapters,
want.
and yeah, so I wonder if they might do it like that.
I hope not, because that'd be a bit of a dulling down.
Well, yeah, potentially.
law.
It's see, but then they sometimes do the supplement books and then the like campaign books and stuff to do. They bring in the extra rules, don't they, to flesh them out. So
That
We'll see.
will be the last Astra Militarum book. Will be the last of the 40k codexes.
it will.
Does that mean 10th's coming next year?
Possibly, and there's still some things that haven't been updated. Like there's some old 8th ed codex supplements for Space Marine chapters knocking about, like Imperial Fist, Raven Guards, Salamanders, and Iron Hands have never got an update.
But do you think
They
that
give
if
two
they're gonna,
turtle shits.
or if they're going to launch 10th, they'll launch it with the Space Marines? and have a whole, here's your new rules.
Potentially.
I mean, when did 9th come out? It only feels 5 minutes ago, but COVID's kind of ruined that perception of time.
It's like being in a warp storm.
Was it 2019?
Then yeah, it could be 10th next year, couldn't it?
Or at least, yeah, towards the end of next year, maybe. And if they'll bring the codexes out, start the year, maybe do a few campaign books, and then do another Psychic Awakening-esque.
Oh, that Psychic Awakening was dog shit.
Yeah.
There was so much lore and rules and time and effort that went into them, and then they just sacked it off within 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And people who'd built their armies around what was in Psychic Awakening then just get binned off.
Yeah.
Especially some of the armies where their Psychic Awakening book came out late, but then their Codex came out early.
Yeah. It was rough, especially with the restrictions being what they were and people not being able to go out and actually
play games. Yeah.
Thing is, 9th edition is so good, I don't see how they're going to improve it for 10th. 9th edition's the best edition of 40k that I've played, and I've been playing since 4th.
Mm. This is like the first time I've actually played it seriously ever.
Yeah.
And as like a newbie coming into it, essentially, it's been simple to get your head around. And then the actual intricacies are still there.
Yeah.
So it's...
9th edition was released in July 2020.
2020, was it?
So that would be a quick turnaround to have the new book, only July 2020, so only like 3 years. I thought it used to be around 4 or 5.
I think it 3 to 4, I think, was between 8 and 9. I think.
There was mention before about the campaign books and how they're going to keep on rolling them out every season. So do you think that...
So they might just more of them. They might just do a few more of them next year, and then look at any revamps.
Yeah, 8th edition came out June the 17th, 2017. So 3 years later. So that would be summer 2023.
Yeah,
would be 10th edition.
But you could say like we essentially lost a year. Being stuck indoors.
Yeah,
but
GW Profits don't give a shit.
Well, they did well out of it, didn't they, really?
They did very well.
Did very well out of it, yeah. Well, Bradders did well on the stock market with all the shares he's got in them. Is this the first time that they've had all books up to date before an edition shift? I can't remember it happening before.
Maybe. Do you remember? It might be. I can't remember 8th edition. Because did Tyranids not have an 8th edition book? Do I remember that right? Or
I can't remember.
I'm not sure. It's entirely possible though.
Yeah, I think so. So, like, Guard players are going to have a solid, good, like 4 months before the edition changes. Well, they're going to get their book in winter, so that could be February at the outside. Then they'll have a kick-ass month and a half. Then everything will get smashed with the Nerf hammer, so they'll have to change their army again.
Yeah.
And then 2.5 months later, 10th edition will come out, and everyone will have to change everything again. Yeah, sucks to be Guard. Well, really, I don't know what they'd change for 10th. Because the 9th seems to work really, really well.
Yeah. I think, short of just... If they decide to just like tweak or revamp small sections of the rules, I don't see it being a drastic redesign.
And that would also tie in with not bothering to sort out Space Marine supplements, because 10th edition will probably come with a new Space Marine book, because Space Marine's the franchise MVP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't even thought about 10th edition until we literally started talking, so there we go. So that's everything 40k.
Yep.
Then AOS will start with the Destruction Armies. So first things first, much us disappoint, no Leagues of Hashut. Or Legion of Hashut, rather, as we hoped there might be. No piratical vampires.
No.
no Malerion,
No.
ripping it up with Shadow Elves. What that does mean, though, now that you know that Legion of Hashut isn't coming, you can crack on and get them Gravelords bought, eh?
I mean, it does, but there's also...
Yeah, we'll get there, we'll get there. I know what you're going to say, because I'm feeling the same way. So, first off, we've got Ogres, the Blood Pelt Hunter, who's got all these trophies and stuff all over him. Like, he's got what looks like a Seraphon-style head where he keeps his bolts.
Yeah.
And it says his crossbow is about as powerful as a ballista is. And as an ogre, he's going to be pretty tough and strong and multi-wound. So a movable bolt thrower that can likely still do some damage in melee is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that as armies get new books, they at least get a new model.
Yeah.
I mean, more would obviously be better, but we've had a big run of books coming out and no new models, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
So getting something new at least is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that Hunter model is quite interesting. So I was on stream, it's a bit different for an ogre, because usually when an ogre kills something, it just eats it, like all of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take trophies. And this guy, he's got trophies. He's got the head that he uses as his quiver, and he's got that big
thing on his back,
bare body, just knocking around.
I mean, it looks like half of it's been eaten, so maybe you're saving it as a snack.
Well, I don't think ogres save food.
Well, no.
But yeah, not bad. And then with a new book coming out, not a bad time to be an ogre player, I think.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what comes.
How long ago was it that the last ogre book came out? Because I didn't seem 5 minutes ago.
That might just be a bit of time distortion again.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think ogres were a while back. Sons of Behemoth weren't that long ago, though.
No.
Oh, right.
And speaking of the Sons of Behemoth, we've got...
They have a model which has little things on that remind me of you. Because they're called creepers.
You're talking to Johnny, right?
Well, both of you really just creep your way around Derbyshire.
Yeah.
A Mega Gargant, but it's not... It's a conversion kit, isn't it, that goes on... giant.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be included in the Mega
An expansion kit that turns a regular Mega Gargant into a bludgeoning blue-blooded behemoth, covered in creepers. So it feels like filming this podcast.
So is he a character?
Yeah, he's a named character for the Gargants,
King Brod, son. Put some respect on his name. He's going to yomp to war.
Yeah, interesting model, this one. Some bits of him are really cool, but he's also not that dissimilar to the standard Mega Gargant. I mean, like I say, with it being like an expansion kit to the Mega Gargant kit.
It's not going to vary all that much, is it?
No.
The thing that gets me is on that picture of his face.
Yeah.
The mouth and everything looks sick, but then when you look at his eyes, it looks like the eyes coming at a layer from underneath, almost like he's wearing a mask over his face, doesn't it?
It does a bit, yeah.
I mean, it might be the way they've painted it as well, but when like the eye and the flesh surrounding the eye is a distinctly different colour to then like the flesh of the
they've painted
face
that
around
like
it.
the same colour as the lip, haven't they?
Yeah. So it looks like the whole giant's face is like a mask on top of whatever's underneath. Very strange.
Surprise, it's not a mask. It's not a giant, it's a demon.
But yeah, he's probably going to be nasty. I mean,
all
aren't
Sons
they?
of Behemoth are nasty, aren't they?
Yeah, and then having
Lean
named
killer
character,
machines.
buffs on top of that as well.
Yeah, of course.
That's going to be.
Do the Sons have a named character at the minute?
No, they don't.
Oh, and they've not got. I mean, they've not got much of. Fuck all, have they? They're a bit like the Fire Slayers, just been.
Yeah,
binned off.
Yeah, they've essentially got the 3 variations of Mega Gargant, and then I call them Little Gargants, but the standard Gargants, Man Crushers, I think they call them.
I'm surprised you've not done the Sons of Behemoth, because they're like the AOS equivalent of Imperial Knights.
They are. I like the Mega Gargants. I don't like the Man
Mini
Crushers.
Gargants.
They're just a bit. I don't like them. I don't think they're proportioned right. Like the Mega Gargants look right. They look like big, powerful Gargants.
They look,
the Man Crushers
they
just
look
look a bit
elongated.
derpy.
What?
They just look a bit derpy, don't they? They just don't look... Because they've got like really spindly legs.
Yes.
But like big fat bodies and weirdly gangly and...
It's like the average man in the UK. I mean, it's not enough to make me do either of these armies.
No.
I'm not going to be doing Ogres, as I guess they pronounce it now. I'm not going to be doing Sons of Bahamut. We can see on the full release schedule we've got Disciples of Tzeentch and Lumineth Realm Lords, which twists my nipples. But Lumineth are having another fucking book so soon. Although the cover art does look sick.
It does, yeah.
And I guess this book here will at least pull in the Lumineth book and the Teclis book into one book, which really should have happened beforehand. So GW have just like pulled all of our pants down. Because they made us buy a book, then you had to buy another book, and now finally it's all going to be in one book, but you've got to buy that book. So in the period of what's felt like 3 years, you've had to buy 3 different books as a Lumineth player.
Yeah, it's a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got my Lumineth army half finished. I still can't. I'm still enraged. I'm still just so enraged. I can't bring myself to deal with it. And I was just beginning, even with this bullshittery of another book, I was just beginning to think, maybe I'll crack them out again. Maybe I want to get a bit bored of the Stormcast. But then they released Slaves to Darkness. Oh my days, I had to change my underwear when I saw them.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That is the most beautiful box that GW has ever made.
Yeah.
The box alone is just, I want to frame it and put it on my wall. It is a work of art.
I like how they've wrote Slaves to Darkness in the
runes.
Yeah.
And the artwork's just incredible.
It is.
Whoever designed that absolutely knocked it out of the park, and GW should give them a raise immediately. Incredible. And then the contents of the box, which doesn't happen often, I like everything that's in it.
Yeah, it is all fantastic. Well, we've seen the Demon Prince.
I know I'm going to want a Demon Prince. I know I'm probably going to want Chosen.
I like the Chosen look like evil Stormcasts.
Yeah, true.
Don't they? In the way that some of their like especially that one who's got the hammer.
Yeah.
I was thinking the one with the banner.
And the bear head. Yes, him as well.
I don't really see many without helmets.
No,
Slaves to Darkness. So this will be it's cool they actually see
I mean,
what they
that's
look
a
like.
pretty good head for a vampire as well, isn't it? Got that big head on his pauldron.
I like the drummer guy. I think he looks like he's got what looks like a 200 sword on his back, but like...
Yeah, I like how stupid big all the weapons are.
Yeah. They are
fucking about.
Huge.
Yeah, the Chosen looks sick. And the Ogroid.
The Ogroids are tight. Just the poses are so good. The one who's just like holding it, the champion who's just holding his axe horizontally is just begging to fight anybody that comes his way.
Yeah, there's just like so much pent up.
Just aggression in it.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Rage.
That's an army of evil.
It looks like they're just ready to go.
It's like an army of gym bros dressed up for Halloween.
That is a fantastic.
I like
fantastic box.
Also, as well, I like how the Demon Prince has the different options for the heads as well. To
fit
in with
the Demon Prince is so cool. Right,
whatever flavour chaos you want to do. I don't know which I like the most.
I mean, the main
base head's pretty tight.
Yeah,
looks like it's from I don't know, Kiss cover band or something.
Yeah.
Are you ready to rock?
Yeah.
All the heads are pretty good, to be fair. They're all pretty good.
Cool.
I mean, and Chaos Warriors, which was their spiritual predecessor in Slaves to Darkness, have always been good on the tabletop. They've always just been a solid line of chaos wrought iron that's coming towards you, and you've got a limited time to do what you're gonna do, because once they make contact, they're not going anywhere for the rest of the game.
It's like the antithesis of Stormcast, isn't it? Really, Essentially, they are not in the way they fight, like they are tough and they are nails and stuff, but like they're the bad guys, the quintessential bad guys, and then you got Stormcast, who are the good guys. This is like the classic fight would be Stormcast against Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah, but it's crazy how much menace just comes off of pieces of plastic. They just radiate it. Everything about them. Whoever's sculpting, the sculpting teams at the minute, all the models that are coming out are just so good.
Yeah, that's
really kicking it out of the park. And that's a good looking box. And what's that? That's winter.
Yeah,
that's coming out.
That's
so
going to be
maybe
in time for Christmas, isn't it?
I know, because it says 2022 to 2023, so that might be Jan-Feb again.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't drop that pre-Christmas though.
Yeah, it's like the Christmas gift, isn't it?
Very different style on the cover art.
Very different, yeah.
It's not got the kind of like the Lumineth has the whole army and everything on the front, but this one's just the like flaming skull, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like a mottled black. I love it. There's a. I mean, again, I'm not rushing to anything. I'll get the book first, but there's a good chance of me doing a Slaves to Darkness army. And the cool thing, if you're doing a campaign with people and multiple people want to play Slaves to Darkness, is Chaos fights itself as much as it fights anybody else.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance you're not going to build an army dedicated to the same god. So straight away, you've kind of got a narrative reason for conflict. Yeah. And similarly, you've got a narrative reason to ally up if that's the way the campaign goes, because sometimes the Chaos Gods will put their differences aside for a short while, at least, to go smash something. And yeah, they're a good-looking army.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are other colour schemes for them other than black. I'm not really seeing any that really strike out at me.
Chosen that the previews as part of the box are just... It looks mostly metal, doesn't it? It's like a black metal, but you could just be mistaken for thinking it is actually just metal. Maybe like washed down quite a lot with no oil or something, but it's still very metallic. I think you could probably do like an old style like dark metal scheme on them.
Yeah, like
maybe
a dark iron.
Like grunged up a bit. And...
Like dark iron and then brass instead of gold. Yeah, that might be what I do. And snow base. For me, I always love chaos on a snow base. I think that's back from the Warhammer days when they came from the north. Yeah. And also when you've got dark colours. Listen to me talking about colour schemes. The lightness of the snow contrasts nicely with the darkness of the model.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
I can teach you boys everything you know about painting. It's just nothing I can't do. So there's a good chance. The only niggle is that we know Cities is coming.
Yeah. Because
they've said it's coming.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be coming next year.
Yeah.
And I want to do Cities.
Yeah.
It's just their army is shit at the minute. So I'll get the Slaves book and then I don't know what I'll do.
I think you're right, it'll be next year. It's kind of...
They started the foreplay now.
Yeah. And it was a similar thing to what they did with World Eaters, like, oh, it's going to be some time off here, some concept art. But then suddenly within the same year, half a year later, we're getting a World Eaters Codex.
Yeah.
And it was maybe a month or two after that, they started tickling about, here's some concept art for Cities. So, yeah, you'd expect maybe early next year, maybe spring.
But
time.
they've got a lot to do to make the Cities good, a good army to collect. They need a good book. They need, in my opinion, quite a lot of new models. And I don't know how committed they are to making the Cities decent, because the first attempt was dog shit.
Yeah, and from the little article they did, it did sound like they were revamping the range.
I hope so.
So it was
because, I mean, it just doesn't... Obviously now the scale is different than it used to be. Is it 32 now or something?
Yeah,
and it was 28mm heroic, so they look
completely
both they look too small, and also the stances were made for ranking up, so they're in very static stances, whereas everything now is in really nice flowing stances. And even the things that are in static stances, like the elf spearmen, still just look more like they've got more gumption to them than Cities of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah. I
think they will get new stuff, because I think they're going to bring Witch Hunters back to Cities, because they've been rollicking on about them loads in the AOS fiction.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got the Nethermaze gang that have come out. So I'll get the Slaves book and then we'll see if my will can hold out long enough for cities.
Mine will not. I will just balls deep buy that box when it comes out.
You've got a Gravelord's army to do before then.
You know what? They might have to wait for the saves because that box is just beautiful.
What do you want to do for the next 4 months?
Oh, I'll have to use the Bone Reapers, I guess.
That
bloody Cat's Cross.
That Battle Tome, it's a limited edition format.
That's
why it looks different.
Like
yeah. So, Brad, you'll be well in there.
Yes.
I mean, you love a limited edition cover.
You buy 10, can't you? Buy one for each of us.
I have a problem.
The first step
we just say at the bottom, slated for early 2023. You'll be able to buy the box towards the end of the year. And think of it as a Sparky Vanguard arriving ahead of the main force of Iron and Hoofs, slated for early 2023.
So does that mean there's going to be...
So that means the box will be out for Crimbo.
And then the rest of it will be out
Feb, yeah.
Well, I know I'm buying myself for Christmas.
Depends if you've been good all year. So you're not going to get fuck all. Have you done any more of the old Chain Rasps, Youth?
I've not really had a chance to this week.
God, you suck.
You've not done nothing.
We're talking about Johnny.
Just go back to bathing your Titans, you...
Penis.
Yeah. I'm giving my Titans a bath.
Look at me, I've got my bio strip.
Alright, well now we've...
bio strip you had to paint you for the first time. Okay.
Okay, so now we've all just about slated
I don't know why you became French as the impression went on.
I know my knights.
Not my knights. What else came out at Nova Open? We've got Horus. Is this different to the Horus we've got in a minute?
Yes, new model for him.
Is it significantly different?
Or
is it just like the same sculpt with different socks on?
Is he...
No, it is. Let me pull up what the...
His base is pretty tight.
Like.
Oh, just body, isn't it? Skeletons, that's,
I think this model is more like towards the end of the Horus Heresy when he's gone full-blown Z Chaos.
Of course.
So, everything's...
His weapon
spiked
is sick. Big, like, spiked
the
globular mace is naughty.
And he is a naughty boy, isn't he?
Yeah, it's looking like... So that is the ridge.
Okay, so
Still
it's
quite...
much more...
So it was
looks
more like...
angry, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's gone full-blown Z.
Like they've had the heads around his waist they didn't have previously. Got rid of the Lunar Wolves markings from what I can see.
Full of the old Eye of Horus.
Yeah.
The talons super spiky. He's in a much more dynamic pose as well.
Yeah. It looks like he's wading through a battlefield on this one rather than just posing.
Yeah. Good looking model. Oh god, I would not want to paint that base though. That's a lot going on there.
It's alright, you can biostrip it as many times as you need.
Looks like he's actually a lot bigger than his old model as well. There's a picture
It looks
of
like
him
he's been
side
down
by
the gym,
side,
doesn't
didn't he? Yeah.
But in the old roid cycle. Yeah, it does. It looks much meatier. Because he's topping out at nearly the same height, but his feet start lower down, don't they, when you have the side by side?
Yeah, and he's crouched as well in his pose.
Yeah. His hench. He's a great looking model for anyone that's doing Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with your box yet?
I've not. I've been
bathing.
Yeah.
Sick.
I've been busy stripping.
Oh, wow.
God.
You getting paid for it? Because if you're not doing it right.
I get paid in applause.
So you're not getting paid very much then?
Self-applause doesn't count as applause. Just stood there naked clapping. When the missus comes home, he's doing it again.
I'll come back later.
Creep. And then there was, I think that's all I've got to say on that, innit?
Yeah.
And then there was never
Nether's region.
Never.
Underworld's Nevermaze Band. The Gore Chosen of Drom.
So I know nothing about this game. I know nothing about Nevermaze.
No, me neither, but all the models that are coming out for
They
it
do look
sick
cool,
as shit,
don't
don't
they?
they? The Gore Chosen of Drom.
Yeah.
Coming to claim glory in skulls.
So yeah, just 3 models in this warband. You've got the leader, who's got the fancy headdress.
A slaughter priest. Coming to drown the underworlds in blood.
Yeah. Yeah, he just wants to go have a swim. Yeah, so he's the leader.
His moniker is the Wounder of Worlds. Drom, Wounder of Worlds.
I mean, that is...
Top shagger and absolute lad. Friend to cats. Headdress is pretty sick, isn't it?
It's pretty ornate.
Is the
Looks like that's gonna be a
tusks
weapon
coming
in
from his
himself.
headdress or from his face?
Headdress. I think he's got a set coming from the headdress and then a little set coming from his face.
It's a little set. I mean, obviously
Oh.
the big one's coming from his headdress, you gimp. What's the weapon in his hand? Is it like a pole axe?
I wonder if it's just like a staff. He's got like an axe and a staff, I think.
I mean, with his headdress, he just needs to bend over at the waist and run forwards, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he'll impale everyone in a 180-degree spread.
He's got tusks on his waist as well, so he could literally just cock thrust
Hip.
people to death.
Hip thrust, you bloody perv. And then he's got big armoured like bottoms on, hasn't he? It's like he's a Chaos Warrior who was grew too hench for his armour.
Well,
He'd
all
be
three
good
of
in
the
a Slaves
models.
to Darkness army,
He
brothers.
All 3 of the
Goodness,
models
these
are wearing
dogs
the armoured lower
bottoms.
half.
Yeah.
Armoured pants.
They're just like showing off the time at the gym.
Yeah.
Do you know, if you've put as much time in to look like that, you would though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd set fire to all the top half clothing I own.
And there's going to be your favourite, obviously.
Yeah.
The big brute.
The brute. I mean, yeah, he looks.
Yeah, he's a big lad, isn't he?
Yeah, has he got like? He's got like horns growing out of his arms, hasn't he?
It looks like, yeah.
He's
there's
got
some
massive
sort of
forearms,
growth
like
there.
he's been
Yeah.
wanking a crazy amount.
Crazy amount.
Or he's been clapping himself at stripping.
Oh, I'm talking about the guy with his hand open. Are you talking about the youth whose back's on fire?
No.
We're talking about Henchy.
Okay, yeah. God, he's a big lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Looks like he's got a spine hanging from around his belt.
Yeah, it does, isn't it? Pretty gnarly. And then there's
Then there's fire
His
dude.
face looks like me at Five Guys.
yeah, so you've got Mr. Hench, ripped up headdress, and then Dad Bod.
He's the Duff. Every friendship group has one.
I mean, yeah, if your hammer's on fire and your back's on fire, and you're cool with it.
I mean, true. Like, you wouldn't say, well, you're the fatty of the group, are you?
No, I wouldn't say it to his face. Probably wouldn't say it behind his back.
You just wouldn't say it.
I just wouldn't
Don't
say it.
think it.
Wouldn't even think it.
He's got guns though.
That's true. Yeah, he's definitely been doing
Gun
arms today,
game's
hasn't
on
he?
point.
I do like the masks that the 2 dudes are wearing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what it reminds me of. I can't
The
think what it is.
The one that the big guy's wearing, it's kind of a bit like a bloodletter, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're a good looking gang. A lot of their Nethermaze stuff is really nice looking. It's got like the pirate ogres and stuff as well, haven't you?
It is. I think because it's
It's
just
a
like
good looking game, son.
yeah, because it's just kind of like one-off war bands and like a handful of models. They really
So
put a lot of
Imagine
effort
if they
into
put
each
that effort
individual
into the
one.
fucking Fire Slays and Age of Sigmar.
Poor guys.
Poor little buggers.
So, game-wise, would you be able to use those guys in
One,
a Slaves to Darkness?
as something.
as
in a
something?
Slaves
So
to
it
Darkness.
has to represent something else.
So the Underworld stuff, they do tend to give them their rules for their warband to use alongside,
Right.
but they're usually shit.
Okay. So it's not.
So you are best to proxy them as
something not
else.
shit.
Yeah,
Because
it tends to be like you've got like you have to buy all of them, and the leader's like essentially a copy paste of whatever character type it's meant to be.
Right.
and then the followers are all just like one wound shitters who die.
Even though they
One
look,
wound shitters.
Yeah,
That's like your whole Eldar army.
that's the
Shitters. You've had your ready wreck today, haven't you?
I have.
Come out swinging. It's because you went to bloody Warhammer World and they didn't have any kitchen staff. You're out for blood.
So yeah, a lot of them you can like proxy it because they are essentially something else.
And is that the same with the Warcry warbands as well?
So the Warcry warbands you can use in Slaves to Darkness. They do have their own rules.
Right. But are they... No.
One wound
Are they
shitters.
one with shitters and all?
They were not great in the current codex. What
Okay.
they'll do with them in the next one, though, I don't know.
That'd be cool. If they...
Depends what they decide to make them like, because they weren't battle line options.
No.
So like, you'd really want to be using them in place of like Marauders. Really, it's just like your unarmored followers,
normal
but
dudes.
you couldn't because they weren't battle line choices. And
There's good looking warbands for that game, isn't there? I'm just looking
Yeah.
now. Crimson Court, obviously the Hexbane Hunters, Canaan's Reapers.
yes,
It's a good looking game.
yeah, very good.
Say you
models.
play it with cards
Yeah, dice and cards.
on a map or on a board.
So
or...
there's like two boards. Not very big, sort of like that sort of size.
Oh, it's good that you're holding your hands up so everyone listening to the podcast
So you can
can
see, and then you can estimate that length.
It's about
about a
Like
foot by 18 inches.
There you go. And then you basically have
funny
two
angle.
of those side by side.
I saw it from a funny angle.
Exactly.
Touch that, boys, Wilkins.
Two of those boards side by side, and they've got like a hex grid on them,
Right.
Okay.
and you play on them.
What's the objective?
So basically, to score more points than your opponent.
How do you score points?
So you in your deck of card, you have objective cards, which you randomly draw, and that'll tell you how to score your points. So it could be like, you know, stand on this objective marker, or have more fighters surviving than your opponent, or have more fighters surviving than the battle round number, or things.
The game sounds shit.
It's not shit. It's
Took you a very long time to say that.
Just how I'd say. It's very, very different to like any sort of Warhammer game. It definitely is more like a board game style than
I mean, the models look great, but just I'm not sure about the game, bro.
yeah. That's it. I kind of mentioned it before, so it is quite interesting because you've got like the deck of cards. It's got that kind of Magic the Gathering
feel to it, yeah.
with like reacting, playing your cards to like counter your opponent's actions and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it is a quicker game, you know. If you're familiar with the rules, you're kind of meant to be able to get through it in sort of like 40 minutes. It's just very different. I suppose if you kind of like that deck building element to it, because like all the warbands have got different cards and different decks of cards and stuff. So
Do you
can,
have
like,
to build the deck separately then?
It comes with a deck,
Right. But is that not already...
You can build your own deck.
Right, okay.
Because there are cards specific for each warband, and then there are just like universal cards.
Oh, right, okay.
So you can kind of swap it up as much as you want. So I imagine that's what gets a lot of people. The like card
like
collecting aspect of it.
It's like bringing, like you say, Magic the Gathering into Warhammer.
Yeah, essentially.
So is that it for the Nova Open?
Yes, I think so.
I think I've gone through everything that's come out, haven't we? It's not really any surprises.
No.
Some nice looking stuff.
Definitely.
And going to be interesting to see how some of these armies like Leagues of Votan work.
Yeah.
It's good seeing some actual, like some dates coming out as well. So people who are waiting for...
Can save up their pennies.
Yeah.
Save up those paychecks. Be good for Santa.
Yep.
I've screwed that one already.
There's always time for a redemption arc.
Not with my history.
Or bribes.
Just do loads of really good stuff like paying for my mortgage. Santa would love that. For real. I gave you a crepe earlier, so I'm grateful.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I didn't do it for that, I did it for Santa.
Oh, right, okay.
So recently we have, well, I say finished, but you'll probably challenge me on that. We've finished ChaosBane, a Warhammer. It's called ChaosBane, isn't it?
It is,
Yes.
A Warhammer game for PlayStation, definitely, I guess, Xbox.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
if you've got no mates, the PC.
Yeah.
The reason we played it is because it's a couch co-op game, which means you and the gang can play it together in the same room, which for me is the most fun way to play computer games. You can play online and give people shit over a headphone, but it's not the same as looking them in the eyes whilst you just rant on them for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah. Usually if you're doing something as simple as getting stuck behind a rock.
Yeah, what kind of dickhead gets stuck behind a rock?
Or just not keeping up
And
while
like,
we're...
what? No one else gets stuck behind the rock. Why do you always get stuck behind the rock? Why are we always waiting for you to run around? Like, what are you doing back there?
Just enjoying the scenery.
Well, that's one of my bloody points of contention with it, but I'll save my thoughts till the end because I've done a lot of talking. Johnny, what did you think about ChaosBane now that we've finished it?
It started off really strong, in my opinion. It's got so it's isometric, top down, a bit like the old Diablo games in the way it
but
plays.
very much it's like Warhammer Diablo.
You assign your attacks to different buttons and pretty much run around mashing buttons to try and kill stuff. Like I said, the campaign started off strong for me.
Really
and you
good.
fight through the game. You fight the forces of chaos. You are the bane of chaos, I guess. And it starts off against Nurgle, and from then on, like the game feels like it gets significantly easier as you go along, which is sort of it's the opposite to what a game should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, these sorts of games do seem to struggle because I kind of found that like with similar games like Diablo and stuff, it always seems to be you start off and it's really hard, and then you level up quite quickly,
And you find new
and you
gear
find
and
loads
all
of
that sort
gear,
of stuff.
and then all of a sudden the difficulty just tips, and you just
Walking through enemies.
pretty much just standing there and you
breathing
just
on them.
hold one button
Just
and
breathing on them like that snake.
It's Sigma.
so it's a shame that didn't fix that problem.
Yeah.
But
You got 4 Chaos Gods to crank through, but after Nurgle, it didn't really feel like you were playing the game anymore. It almost felt like you were working in a factory.
Just holding
Yeah.
like
You're just like
you tend
clocking in and
Yeah.
just doing the same button, and you
yeah.
very rarely needed to use a health potion, even against the boss of each chunk of the game.
You tend to find a few attacks that you like. Like some have to build up, use to build up energy, and then other ones spend it. So you tend to have a combination of that, and you find your little combination that you like, and you pretty much just walk through holding that one button,
Yeah.
and then spamming the other one every so often.
again, it's not. I don't think that's just unique to
No,
ChaosBane.
no.
It just seems to be kind of all the sort of games like
Yeah.
that just seem to suffer from the same problem.
But the thing I found with it is that other games do that sort of stuff better. I want to say ChaosBane had its... The quests were repetitive, to be fair. And there was a lot of to-in and fro-in from the quest givers.
That really fucked me off. So you'll be stood in a tower talking to Teclis and he'll give you some information. And he's like, come to me when you are ready. There is literally nothing else to do in the fucking game. So you're like, I'm ready to go now, bruv. But you turn around and it's teleported off to another fucking
Meet
tower.
me in the other tower.
For no reason. So you just have to waste time
Yeah.
running down through a tower, across the courtyard and up through another tower to continue the conversation. A cynical part of me would say that that's Games Workshop or whoever made the game trying to ensure that the game took so much time to complete. So you just had a lot of dicking about for no reason. It's not like you could go around town and do anything.
No.
There was one youth who well, you couldn't even buy. You got all this gold and you couldn't spend it on anything. It's not like a shop you can buy things with your gold.
Yeah.
So it's just ephemeral. It's there to pay if you need to respawn because you died. But if you died, you shouldn't be left alone in a room because you're clearly a danger to society. All you can do is basically give your stuff to the trader who gives you gold that you can't do anything with. It's like the weirdest economic scheme ever. I felt like I was being conned all the time. Sorry, carry
on. I think the with the weapons as well and the gear that you find, there wasn't. Again, it's same with all those sorts of games though. There wasn't really that much difference between them.
Not when you got to a certain point, was there?
And they were even just reusing the same maps, weren't they?
Yeah.
So, like, you'd take one of them, take Slaanesh, for example. You go in and do the map and clear it, and do the thing you need to do, which is at the end of the map, come back, spend about 10 minutes fucking about with Teclis, teleporting all over the place. Then be like, oh, we need this thing, it's from the Slaaneshi Gardens. And it's the exact same map.
Yeah.
And you're coming in at the exact same point. And often the objective is in the exact same place. And it's the exact same bad guys. They've just put them in different locations of different quantities. So it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. It's,
And at least with other games like Diablo, you have the benefit of continuous level up, so at least you feel that sense of progression. But ChaosBane, you top out at level 50, and we were at level 50
quite early on, weren't we?
Yeah.
Nearly halfway through the game, because you go round the clock again and keep levelling up even though there's no benefit. And I was at like level 39 again by the time we got to the end of the main game.
I don't really understand the point. I think you get more of the skill points to be able to equip more of the stuff that you don't really use?
I mean, the skill points, by that time, because you can only equip so many skills, you've already fully unlocked the skills that you're going to use. So all you're going to do with the extra skill points is unlock skills that you're never going to do anything with.
Yeah.
Like, unlock the higher abilities of skills you already have that are shit. So you don't even get that feeling of progression. Because the economic game's not really there, you don't get that element either.
No.
It would be cool if there were more classes.
Yeah.
Did you buy extra, or did it? How many did it come with?
It came with 4. The Dwarf Engineer got added on for 3. I did buy the Witch Hunter.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it, yeah. So you start off with the
Empire Soldier, the Dwarf Slayer, the Elf Ranger, and the Elven Wizard.
Yeah.
Which is your typical sort of setup.
Yeah, it's typical like D&D style adventure party.
Yeah.
And I say we kind of finished the game because we finished the main game, but then there was DLC to explore Khemri, but I just can't bring myself to. You still can't level up any further than we have. So I'm like, it's not like a super compelling story. So I'm like, I don't really see what enjoyment this is going to bring.
I lost interest in
After
the story.
Yeah. Very early on.
I think because it felt like we were just doing the same thing over and over again. It's like it was a lot of fetch quest sort of things.
It was, yeah.
Almost all.
Yeah.
At least in Nurgle, you did have some of that. You had to save the people before the time ran out, but then they kind of binned that.
That was as creative as it probably got.
Yeah, and then they didn't do that for the rest of the game. Then it was just fetch quests.
There was a couple of other objectives where it's like survive, but we didn't even realise that was the objective.
No, it was so easy to survive. And we killed a load of bad guys. And like, congratulations, you have survived. I'm like, oh.
Cool.
It's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
And when you're playing, the Nurgle part is a lot of fun. And nice to do with friends, and it's challenging at that level. And you get the feeling of progression, and the maps are more interesting. But then it's like they made the Nurgle one.
And ran out of time.
And then ran out of time or got a different team and it were like, I don't know what to do, fuck it. It really felt like a game of two parts, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think the other 3 gods were as long as the Nurgle bit.
No, I don't think they
The
were.
Nurgle boss fight was
hard.
Nurgle boss fight was nails.
And it was interesting. Whereas the other like boss fights were just run up and smack it.
Pretty much.
Whereas Nurgle, there was a little bit of strategy.
You had to hide behind the columns and just chuffing down, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not even sure what some of the Greater Demons mechanics. I'm not even sure what they were because it just didn't matter.
Siege, where he just kept on healing himself. Was it Siege?
Oh yeah, randomly
yeah.
heal
Oh, like
himself.
just randomly.
How?
He'd do an attack, then he would heal himself, but not if you were attacking him at that point. But because he did it straight after an AoE attack, you kind of had to be prepared as to avoid the AoE attack and then teleport in and hit him.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just carrying too much of the load, so you guys thought it was easy, but behind the scenes I were like a duck calm above water, but pedalling like fuck underneath. Paddling. Probably not. How would you say it compares to other Warhammer games on the PlayStation? Stick with the Warhammer Old World. How does it compare to Vermintide? Vermintide's not couch co-op, but you can play co-op over the old Tinterwebs.
Yeah, Vermintide's sick. Obviously, it's not the like top down one.
No, the levels on Vermintide are harder.
Yeah,
The levels are longer.
Yep.
The scenery of the levels is far more interesting.
and because it's that kind of first person, more realistic. Everything looks, your enemies look.
There's more to the combat
Nasty,
as well, isn't there, in Vermintide?
There is,
It's
like when
there's
the Chaos Warriors
yeah.
coming up to you, you've got to act differently than when you just
You're not just
holding
holding it.
Yeah,
in
and then you've got
one
like that Skaven fucking shepherd who just comes and collars you around the neck and gets carrying you off.
Yep.
Or a Skaven assassin who just jumps on you and stabs the tits off you before your allies can respond.
Yeah.
We need to play Vermintide
We
over the
do.
chat because that
It's
would
so
be good fun. Playing it with the computer is not as fun because they're just annoying. Well, I mean, they don't get stuck behind a rock, so they're not that annoying, I guess, in the grand scheme of things.
No, I think Vermintide is a cracking game.
I've got all the expansions to Vermintide as well. I've got like the Winds of Magic one and shit.
Have you?
Yeah.
I think I've got some of them.
It was on offer.
Yeah. Vermintide's great. I think Vermintide is probably maybe if we're talking Warhammer Fantasy, definitely the best.
Yeah, and we're going to have 40k Darktide come out, which is going to be 40k version of Vermintide having a stroke.
Yeah.
Both got tied in the title, clues in the name.
Is it made by the same? I think it's made by the same.
I think it is.
Fat Shark.
Yes.
Studio, yeah.
Fiat
So
Shark
it'll have a similar sort of
vibe
to it. The trailers look good for that for Dark Tide.
Yeah.
It's only coming out on Xbox and PC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems that way. Whether it'll come out on PlayStation or not at a later date, or whether it is
Exclusive.
fully excluding PlayStation, not sure.
Fair call.
Yeah, Dark Tide will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how essentially Vermintide plays with more ranged weaponry.
Yeah.
Because you've got your ammunition is quite limited in Vermintide, and it's more obviously about close combat being that.
Yeah, I found that out when I bloody played The Witcher and I was like, this is mint. And I just spaffed all my ammo off in our first encounter and then kept fuck all else for ages and just kept getting my head kicked in.
Yeah.
I think from looking at the trailers for Dark Tide, it does look like there's a heavy melee element still to it.
Yeah.
Like, well, the classes, so there's the guardsman, isn't there?
Yeah, there's Guard, there's an Ogren.
So I imagine that'll be very much
Smashy.
There's
I can't remember.
Zealot sort of. So probably similar to Vermintide with Zealot.
Yeah. I think there's going to be Psycho as well.
Yes.
So yeah, should be a good game.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Vermintide's great. I think the soldier's probably disproportionately tough on Vermintide. His gun does a lot of damage, his melee weapon does a lot of damage, he can take a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's kind of how it works on Vermintide, isn't it? You've got your person, and then when you get to a certain level, you unlock like a new class.
Yes, because I've got mine as the Bretonian Knight.
Yeah.
I got the Bretonian Knight DLC, so he can't have a gun, but he has a big weapon and then he has a shield, and when you block with the shield, oh, fuck all gets you.
No.
And you look like an absolute shagger rocking around the old world as a Bretonian Knight.
Yeah, and it puts very different places on it, like the dwarf. You start as the ranger, as the dwarf, don't you? Which is a bit. It's a bit shit. But then you unlock like the Iron Breaker.
Yeah.
And you are like tough as nails. You can get the bloody Drake fire guns and like nothing can get through your armor and you're just tanking it. And then you unlock Slayer.
Yeah.
And you just run around on roids, just swinging your axes as fast as you can.
I think I've got the Warrior Priest as well, although I've not played him yet. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do Vermintide next. The only thing is it's not couch co-op, which is
so you got to sit online.
Kicking the nuts.
Yeah.
Got to like sit in your house and hope everyone's free at the same time, which seldom happens.
Yeah.
Because if we're all free at the same time, we tend to be
at someone's house.
Actually physically hanging out. Doing something.
Unless we do the old school LAN party and bring TVs around. And...
Yeah, you must have enough TVs here.
Yeah, you've got enough TVs knocking about.
TVs everywhere.
I think I have, yeah.
Well, there you go. Sorted, we'll bring the PlayStations around, and that would be good fun, actually. LAN party Vermintide would be good fun. Yeah. Get your garage decked out into a bunker.
It's on the to-do list.
Get TVs, well, move it up a few notches.
I'm trying to think if there are any other Warhammer Fantasy games on PlayStation.
Probably not. Any other games would be quite a bit older, I think. And then you're into like strategy games and 40k games and everything. But maybe we'll do them another time.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a bit of time left, so I'll move on to the surprise topic.
There we go.
For the episode.
All right.
Which I've not told you guys about, but I thought I'll have something in the chamber just in case we need to. And it's about gaming. So you two could probably fucking learn something. And I know you're going to have some things to say about this.
Me.
And it's about, you. And it's about probability. Because obviously the Warhammer games, an element of it comes down to probability because we're rolling dice. And you can try to stack the odds in your favour. But you have to understand, you don't have to. If you want to be good, you need to understand how probability works. So first things first is when people say they lost because they have bad dice rolls. And that's something I know that you are quite passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think... So you say without probability, like, you know what, sometimes, you do have a whiffer.
Yeah.
And it goes bad. But then sometimes you don't. And it balances out over enough games or even within a game. You know, you might...
At the end of the day, you're both rolling dice.
Yeah.
So...
and people do seem to like focus on negatives when they lose. So it might be like, oh, I failed or I failed 5 out of 6 saves on this guy when I needed a 3+. Oh, I just couldn't roll well. But then like earlier on in the game...
They made 5 out of 6 saves when they needed 6 up. Yeah.
Or, made 5 out of 6 attacks or something like equally as impactful, but because it didn't win the game, it doesn't...
It's an actual psychological trait, I can't remember what it's called, and it's how people who consider themselves lucky have the same luck, to use that term in air quotes, as anybody else. It's just they pay attention to when good things happen. And people who think themselves as unlucky just pay attention when like the bottom end of the probability curve hits them. So they focus on the bad things that have happened, but then don't think about the good things that have happened. And multiple studies have been done, and that can really follow people through life, like through relationships, through jobs, through everything that they do. Because if you approach things thinking that you are unlucky, then you actually then start to tailor your actions. And someone who thinks that they are lucky tailors their actions in a different way. So people who consider themselves lucky approach situations with excitement and verve and a belief that things are, and optimism and a belief that things are going to work out. Whereas unlucky people come at it a bit sullen, 1 foot out the door, never really fully committing, believing it's not going to work anyway. And that's been shown through studies of people in the workplace.
So I guess in essence as well, like the people who consider themselves lucky might take more risks and stuff as well.
Possibly.
It's like, like people, some people are like, oh wow, I want to see all these bloody competitions that got one on Facebook, share this and blah blah. At the end of the week we're going to pick someone to win. So it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so is really lucky. They're always winning things.
It's probably always
I'm
entering.
like, yeah, exactly right. Like, well, if they enter 100 competitions a week and you enter 0, then comparatively, it could seem like they are always winning things. But actually, it's more that they are always losing things, because the majority of the time they're not going to win those competitions. You're only focusing on the times they do win. So-and-so's so lucky. They're always winning competitions. Well, no, they're winning 1% of the competitions they enter. They're actually always losing competitions, but you're not focusing on that.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with that kind of mindset about blaming the dice is that it takes away from what your opponent's done.
Yes.
Because your opponents nobody loses on dice alone. Unless you have literally just rolled ones for every single dice you've rolled, which is statistically impossible.
Now I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Go on.
Getting statistics only average out over a large enough sample.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with the amount of numbers that we're talking about, that sample is going to be very, very large. So statistically, there will be games where your rolls are bad. It won't average out over a game.
Yeah, but it's not.
No, there'll be times when your rolls are bad, but not that.
I agree that just saying the only reason your opponent won was because you had bad luck.
Yeah.
It kind of diminishes their accomplishments and the clever things that they did. Over enough over enough games, your luck balances out. So if someone it says my dice are always bad, well, no.
Yeah.
Over a large enough sample size, it will even out. Do you remember when Darren Brown did that coin flipping thing?
Mm.
And it was like, got a 50 pence piece and I'm going to flip it 10 times in a row and get 10 tails in a row. And he did on TV. I was like, oh God, how did he do it? Well, actually, it's just the odds of a coin flipping heads 10 times in a row is 1 in however many thousands. So he just did it thousands of times until it happened.
Yeah.
It's a bit like playing the lottery. All numbers are statistically as likely to come out as any others.
Yeah.
Even when you look at lottery results, and it's like, oh, number 7 has come out more often than the rest. It's just because the sample size of lotteries isn't large enough for probability to balance out. If we pulled the lottery numbers millions and millions of times, all the balls would come out a roughly equal amount.
Yeah.
So you just have to consider sample size.
Yeah. No, I think, you can have bad luck, and you can have bad luck at multiple key moments of a game, but I don't think you really shouldn't be losing. If you're losing purely based on all the dice rolls, you've probably not played right.
Certainly if you're losing multiple games, then the chance of you losing 10 games because of bad dice rolls is very, very,
the
very
other
unlikely.
thing to take into account is this is a game that has modifiers in. So there are situations where you can look at a favourable matchup or look for those sorts of where your units will have a stronger matchup against an enemy unit, and you are affecting the modifier and the numbers that your opponent needs to roll.
And you got your stratagems and your auras and things to try and swing the odds.
Like just something as simple as
in your
AP,
favour.
as armor piercing. If you're putting on a high AP weapon against something with low toughness, like a high armor value, harm save, you're looking at you're going to have more chance of dealing the damage that you're looking at dealing with. Your opponent is going to have less of a chance to make that save. And it's not because they might have a bad dice roll, they might just be looking for a 6, whereas like against other weapons, they'd be looking at 3 to 6.
You certainly have to stack the odds in your favour.
Yeah.
It's important to, before you make an action, try and consider what over a large enough sample, what on average would statistically happen. So say you were going to fire 60 shots and you hit on 4 ups, you're like, right, over a large enough sample, 40 of those 60 shots will hit. If I wound on 4s, then of those 40 that hit, over a large enough sample, 20 will wound. That won't happen every time because it has to be over a big enough sample size. But you at least have to work on the average, because if you play enough games, that average will prove true once your sample size becomes large enough. And then of those 20, what do they need to save? Like, okay, they save on a 5 or 6. That means they're going to save, on average, around 7 of those 20. So you're going to deal 14 unsaved wounds on average. So before you make an action, just try and think in your head, what's the probability of this on average working? And I try to take actions which are slightly above the statistical average chance. So if I needed to do 10 wounds to something, I'd try to do it through a method where statistically on average, I'd do 12 or 13 wounds. So that even accounts a little bit for if I'm on the low swing of the statistical probability. And the other big thing to remember is the average roll on 2d6 is 7.
Yes.
So when you're charging, the average distance you're going to charge is going to be 7 plus any modifiers that you've got. Every kind of point out, you go from 7 gets exponentially more difficult. And like the chance of getting a 12 is just 1 in 36, which is very, very slim.
And that's why the game's been made how it is. It's to bring that risk element into it. Like, you know, they deep strike, 9 inches away from something?
Yeah.
It's to make players think, should I have a crack at it?
Yeah, is it worth it?
And sometimes it will pay off and sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Exactly. But I think that whole mindset, it's a sportsmanship issue, because you're like, your opponent's played well and beat you, or you've played shit and they've beat you, and you say, oh well, if I'd have rolled better I'd have beat you. It doesn't acknowledge anything that they've done. It doesn't acknowledge kind of like their accomplishments, and you can just kind of walk away from that thinking, oh well, that wasn't a very good game, was it?
Yeah.
I like to walk away from a game and think, what could I have done better? Because instead, it's like it's never. Oh, I need to roll dice better. It's always.
It always makes me smile when you get someone at the table and they're like, I'm really good at rolling dice. It's like, bitch, there's no such thing as being really good at it unless you have weighted dice.
Yeah.
Everyone's as good as everybody else at it.
I never walk away from a game thinking, oh yeah, I should have rolled better. It's like, that's not.
Having said that, though, you know, the magician David Blaine, he claims that you can get good at rolling dice.
Does he?
Because he obviously spent a lot of time in casinos and is a bit of a nutter. It's like if someone who has the same dice and rolls them on the same surface millions of times can actually start to control what will come up on the dice. Not every time, but statistically move the noggin above average probability. But that relies on rolling the same dice on the same surface, which you ain't going to be doing in Warhammer.
No.
So none of you are good at rolling dice. You're just biased to paying attention to when you get good rolls over when you get bad rolls, or you win games, so you never need to look for a scapegoat of, oh, it's just bad luck.
I think probably as well, when you get to the end of the game, a lot of players will forget the things that happened halfway through. It's the things that happen in rounds 4 or 5.
When I'm gaming, I bring it to players' attention. Yeah. I'm like, flipping heck, you were very lucky there, weren't you, to make those saves? And counter, oh gosh, that was unlucky. But I try to balance it out so at the end they have a better idea of what actually happened. Yeah. So I have a massive weird like bias when we look back on things, and very quickly we start to rewrite history until we believe what we're saying very quickly. And when you're talking to someone, they will probably agree with you just because they don't want to seem like a spoilsport. If you say, oh, I only run because of bad dice rolls, the player you played against is not likely to say, well, no, dickhead, you lost because of this, that, and the other. Be like, oh, yeah, it was bad dice rolls, wasn't it? Not if you game against me. I'd be like, no, dickhead, you did this wrong, and this wrong. And even if you are at that low swing of the probability, and in that one game you do have the real low swing of bad dice rolls, still don't take away the other person's accomplishments.
No.
They've come and played a game against you and tried to give you a pleasant experience, and they've won. Just let them have the win and celebrate what they did correctly. Even with bad luck, you probably still did things wrong. Because even when I watch, not that I watch them that often because it kills my heart, when I watch the top level tournament players, they're still making mistakes. And they're at the top of the game. So you certainly are making mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
the end of the day, it takes like 2 people to play the game, and if you're being a dickhead because you're saying you've got bad dice rolls all the time, and like you can't win a game because your dice are shit, then
no one's going to play with you.
Yeah, exactly. And then who are you going to play with? Yourself in your garage? No.
Well, Bradis might collapse himself when he's naked, so that's the next logical step. So I guess in summary, be cool.
Yeah.
And
I think that's just general rules, isn't it?
But do pay attention to the statistical averages over a large enough sample, and that will help you to make better decisions in game. And then don't get bummed out that you didn't make that 10-inch charge because it was statistically improbable anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, is that it?
I think so.
That was a
That
left field topic. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. You wondered what it was going to be, didn't you? But I think you are pleasantly surprised and delighted, which is...
It was good to be put on the spot like that.
What I hope to do.
Don't tell me that.
I'm going to do that all the time now. Normally before the podcast, and I send you a list of topics. That ain't happening.
Oh, no.
But like, right, dickheads, this is what we're talking about. So that's been a bit of a different format to usual because the Nova Open came just a week after the last pod. So I've not done the old what we've been up to and that, but hopefully it's still been an enjoyable old time, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye-bye.